WoodSongs Kids is funded in part by the Kentucky Department of Tourism. Information about the lakes, mountains, parks, sports, music, art festivals, and more is available online at kentuckytourism.com. By the Martin Guitar Company, building handcrafted guitars for professionals and front porch pickers since 1833. Online at martinguitars.com. And by the Deering Banjo Company, making American-made handcrafted banjos. Their full catalog of banjos is online at deeringbanjos.com.
WoodSongs Kids, celebrating the music of America's front porch from the Lyric Theater in Lexington, Kentucky.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my name is Michaela Rain Jonathan. Welcome to WoodSongs Kids. Here's my daddy, folk singer Michael Jonathan.
Thank you, Michaela. So proud of you, and we're going to sing a song together. You ready? Sitting on a creaky old rocking chair. You say it's gonna rain, we don't care. Dancing with you all afternoon on the front porch with me. Listen to the
rhythm of summer rain, tapping out a tempo on my window pane. Nothing like summer on a front porch swing, making my banjo ring.
I'm playing my banjo on the rocking chair.
You can play your fiddle in your underwear,
Pretty as a rainbow in your hair. On the front porch with me. When you're on the front porch with me. Thank you. Welcome to another broadcast of WoodSongs Kids. Michaela Rain and I are so proud that you could be tuning in. We're celebrating the amazing world of kids that perform all different kinds of music. We treat our show like a multimedia television front porch. It's very relaxed. We're celebrating the spirit and the goodness of these kids. First up is a couple of brothers that come to us all the way from Roanoke, Virginia. We're very proud that they could be here. Ayden is 16. He plays the banjo. Blane is 12, right? And you play the mandolin. They're going to do a tune from a fellow originally from West Virginia, a great bluegrass legend named Don Stover. And this is a tune called Rockwood Deer Chase. It is the Brothers Young right here on WoodSongs Kids. The Brothers Young, all the way from Roanoke, Virginia, and they did the Rockwood Deer Chiefs. Let's say hi to 12-year-old Blane. Blane, how you doing?
Good.
Nice to have you here with us. And you're playing a mandolin. So explain to other kids, what is it like to play the mandolin?
It takes a lot of work. It has 8 strings. Each string is there's 2 strings for each note. So it's 8 strings on here, so that's 4 notes you each have to play to do the mandolin.
Now, was this a hard thing for you to learn how to play? How old were you when you started?
I was about 8.
About 8 years old. You're 12 now, so you've been playing for 4 years, right?
Right.
But how'd you get so good? Is it a lot of practice?
It takes a lot of practice.
Yeah, and is that a fun thing for you to do? Do you enjoy that?
I do.
So you like just playing music, right? Let's say hi to your older brother, Ayden. Ayden, how you doing? 16 years old.
I'm doing good, thank you.
Playing the banjo.
Thank you, Michael.
Now, the banjo comes to us from Africa, and it became a very popular bluegrass instrument. So how did you get familiar with the banjo? How did it come to your attention?
Well, I've been listening to bluegrass music my entire life, and I've loved every instrument that I've heard on all the bluegrass songs, but one particularly stood out, and that was the banjo, especially Earl Scruggs' style of playing that banjo. And funny story, I was staying over at my grandparents' house one night, and I went down their basement just to look around at some of the old antiques they have down there, and I found an old rusty banjo down behind a big easy chair, and I asked him to let me take it home because I love instruments, I love collecting them. And so they let me take it home, I got it fixed up, and I started learning it.
Now, I asked your brother if mandolin was hard. Was the banjo hard for you to learn?
Actually, it wasn't that hard for me to learn. I think I picked it up really well.
So is this something you would do like on the couch while watching television? How annoying was it to your parents that you were trying to do this?
Well, I might have to ask them, but I generally enjoyed it. I think they did too at the beginning because they saw that I had a talent for it.
And that you loved it, right? Love is everything. When you love something, it even helps other people support you, right? Because they can tell this is something important in your heart, right? Well, let's get on to your music. A blues player named Dave Van Ronk in New York City discovered an old traditional song. And then Bob Dylan heard it, and he put it on his first album. And then a group called the Animals did this song, and it became a big hit record. But now you're going to do kind of a bluegrass version of a very popular song called House of the Rising Sun. It's the Brothers Young from Roanoke, Virginia, right here on WoodSongs Kids. There you go. House of the Rising Sun, Brothers Young, Ayden, 16 years old on the banjo, Blane, 12 years old on the mandolin, and you guys have a CD of yourselves out, that's an exciting thing to do, isn't it? To go in the recording studio and record your music. What was that like?
Actually, we recorded all of the music on that CD at our own house.
You know, more artists are doing that because you can make really good albums on a computer these days, right? Is that what you used, just a home computer?
Correct, we do.
So how did you pick the songs? You've got a bunch of songs on here, 12 songs on a
We
CD.
just picked one of when we just listened to what the crowd audience, like what gets the most claps and stuff and most reaction, and we just picked 12 of our best songs that we do.
And so Ayden, was it something that you ever considered when you started playing the banjo that your little brother would become this good on the mandolin?
Well, when I started, I didn't realize that Blane would even pick up an instrument at the beginning, because I thought usually I was the one that always played an instrument. I played the piano, I played a little bit of violin and the guitar at the time, and picking up another instrument, I thought I'll be the only musical person in the family. But Blane surprised me that a year later he decided to pick up the mandolin because he liked Ricky Skaggs so much, and that was his biggest influence, was Ricky Skaggs.
Correct.
Well, you guys are going to play a third song for us, and you guys are really wonderful. I'm glad that you could come all the way from your hometown in Roanoke, Virginia. This is a great bluegrass tune. It's called Rawhide. It's the Brothers Young on WoodSongs Kids. All the way from Roanoke, Virginia. Aren't they wonderful? It's Ayden, 16 years old on the banjo. Blane is his brother, 12 years old. They call themselves the Brothers Young, and we're very proud of you. So glad that you could be part of WoodSongs Kids, where we're celebrating this amazing world of youngsters and their skills, their talent, but most of all, their heart and their passion for all different kinds of music. Bill Monroe himself said that this kind of music has brought more people together and made more friends than any other kind of music in the world. And so we're very glad that the Brothers Young could be our friends and be on our broadcast of WoodSongs Kids. Which brings us to our next artist. She is 13 years old. Her big hero was Tony Rice, and she loves to play the guitar. She likes to flat pick it. She's going to do a great song called Black Mountain Rag. Please welcome the amazing Ashlyn Smith to WoodSongs Kids. Years old, Ashlyn Smith, and a beautiful guitar. What kind of guitar do you play?
Play a bourgeois.
That's a pretty guitar, and it feels good in your hand, too. That's why you like to... Artists have to pick out their own instrument. It's hard to be given them as a gift because you got to have that feel, right? And this is a guitar that feels good to you. How old were you when you first started playing the guitar?
I was 5 years old, and what got me started was I went to... My grandparents were the ones that started me off with everything. They took me to my first, not really bluegrass festival. It was kind of like a night show that we went to every Friday night, and I saw Gary Brewer, and that's what got me started. I had to get a guitar just like him. Got a little baby Yamaha.
Yeah. Now, how old were you when all this was happening? How old did you start?
5.
About 5 years old, and that's when you got your first guitar. Mm-hmm. Right? Now, was this, I asked the brothers Young the same question, was this a hard thing for you to learn how to play the guitar?
Yeah, it was definitely hard. I sat there and complained about my fingers hurting for months and nothing but complaining until I finally was able to get it. And ever since I picked it up, I never wanted to stop.
What was it about the guitar? Your fingers were hurting from practicing so much, right? The tips of your fingers get a little tender from the strings, right? But as your calluses developed, it didn't hurt as much anymore, right? Mm-hmm. But what was it about the guitar that even though it was a little uncomfortable at first, it just made you keep on going and you didn't quit? What was it about the guitar that made you keep going?
Definitely inspiration by other people, being able to see a lot of other artists. My grandparents took me everywhere, and I got to see everyone and meet a bunch of really awesome people, and that's what made me want to play the guitar.
Right, and a lot of artists that have heard you, they kind of pay attention and mentor you a little bit, help you out, like Rhonda Vincent, right? And so many others. Now, when you like to play the guitar, do you practice a lot still, or have you gotten so good that you just don't practice that much and you're still good at it?
I don't practice as much as I used to.
Well, let's hear what you can play without practicing a whole lot. This is another great bluegrass tune. It's called the Beaumont Rag. She is 13 years old, Ashlyn Smith on WoodSongs Kids. 13 years old, Ashlyn Smith, all the way from Louisville, Kentucky, and we're going to invite you. We're talking about your grandfather, and we're going to invite Larry to come out. This is your grandfather that encouraged you so much. And so, Larry, thank you for being here. I'm sure you're very, very proud of your granddaughter, Ashlyn, right?
Oh, very proud.
So how did you feel when you were seeing her develop as a young musician, 5 years old, and then she took after this guitar and just never quit?
I tell you, it amazed me. I'm an old banjo player, and to see this little child play better than I could ever hope to play after playing for years, it was just amazing. I was just kind of awestruck, you know.
Well, what would you tell other parents, other grandparents, aunts and uncles that see in their family a youngster that's doing really well or has a very passionate interest about something, but they haven't really taken that step? What is your advice to them on how to encourage these kids to be musical?
I think one of the more important things is get a really good instrument. If you get a really cheap instrument, it hurts to play, it doesn't sound well, and the kids don't want to put as much time in on it. But if you get something that's easier to play because it's a quality instrument and it sounds better, they'll practice more and they'll develop much quicker. I think that's one of the things. Another thing is get them out to jams. Get them to go to jams and other places they play, like some of the WoodSongs gatherings, for example, and around the country that have started up, and learn from all the people that are there and all the different songs that they're playing, and that will help you more than anything else, I think, is playing in public with other musicians, and they're always willing to help the kids.
Yeah, it's a wonderful community because the folk community, bluegrass, the roots community is very cognizant of the kids and encouraging them because that's the next generation coming up. And you have been at the leadership of an organization called Tomorrow's Bluegrass Stars, which is a big mentorship program for these kids, right?
It is. I've been very honored to have been their president for 8 years. I just recently retired 4 days ago, but we're the largest bluegrass youth organization in the country, about 456 youngsters right now, and we've been nominated for IBMA awards. Mm-hmm. We're putting on our own festival in Branson, Missouri. And
well, let's get Ashlyn to come back to the microphone. And Ashlyn, how important was it to you to have a grandfather like Larry and others to really encourage you and celebrate your good work with the music?
I don't think it ever would have came this far without them.
It's
Everything
important.
Being them pushing me and making me keep going, I would have just gave up. I'm pretty stubborn, but they kept me going.
It's nice to have a cheering section, right? Well, we're going to cheer you on. You're going to play a song called Clinch Mountain Backstep. It's Ashlyn Smith, 13 years old on WoodSongs Kids. Clinch Mountain Backstep in the hands and fingers and guitar of young Ashlyn Smith, 13 years old. And weren't the brothers young? Ayden, 16, Blane, 12. Weren't they wonderful for their participation. You know, not too long ago, a great man named Mr. Rogers said that listening is where love begins, and that's where you can start doing with your own children. You know, your front porch, your living room couch is the most beautiful stage in the world. It doesn't have to be these big stages and theaters and festivals. It could be just your own family can make a wonderful, wonderful audience. So encourage your children. Remember what Mr. Rogers said, that listening is where love begins. And we're so glad that you guys could listen. You want to say thank you to everybody?
Thank you for watching our show. We'll be back next week for more Wood Songs Kids.
Closed captioning provided by VisitLEX.com. WoodSongs Kids is funded in part by the Kentucky Department of Tourism. Information about the lakes, mountains, parks, sports, music, art festivals, and more is available online at KentuckyTourism.com. By the Martin Guitar Company, building handcrafted guitars for professionals and front porch pickers since 1833. Online at martinguitars.com. And by the Deering Banjo Company, making American-made handcrafted banjos. Their full catalog of banjos is online at deeringbanjos.com.